Hey everybody, and welcome to this next video. Our topic for this video is circles, finding the area and circumference. And one thing I do want to say is that I know some of these videos can get kind of long, so I do not expect you to sit in one setting and watch all this at one time. I know that some of my videos might be an hour long, and I don't expect you to sit there in 1 hour and to watch everything. You might watch 5 minutes of it, 10 minutes of it, hit the pause button, take a break, or you may have to get up and do something else. But just understand that the fact that we have this thing recorded, you can always come back and pick up later. So by no means is this meant to be any torture by me. Math sometimes can be bad enough as it is. So don't feel obligated to watch everything at one time. Take it in bits and pieces, but in the end, my desire for you is that you understand what you're doing. Okay, so with that said, put forth that disclaimer. Let's go ahead and jump into this circles and area and circumference stuff. So for circles, we're talking about the area, which is given by the formula pi times r squared, where pi has a value of 3.14. And r is the radius of the circle. Okay, let's draw a picture of what the radius looks like. I got my circle. I have my point in the center. And now I draw a line from this center point all the way to some point on the circle. Okay, so that distance from the center to any point on the circle is called the radius. So in our first example, suppose we are given that the radius is equal to 12, or that r equals 12. So in our example, we're given that r equals 12, and we know that pi is 3.14. So let's just write the formula again, substitute our values in, and see what we get. So A equals pi r, A equals pi r squared. Actually, for this particular problem, they begin by first just giving us what r equals. We have A equals to pi, r equals 12. So it's going to be 12 squared. Pi times and 12 squared is 12 times 12, which equals, oh, it's not 12. Wait a minute. Hot doggone it. I meant 17. Ah, okay, rewind that back. R equals 17. The radius equals 17. So we got area equals the pi times 17 squared. 17 squared is 289. So my area is going to equal 289 times pi. Okay, that's what the answer is if you do not know what pi is. However, if we know that pi equals 3.14, we can now substitute that in for pi and then get the answer, get a different answer. So what I wrote here was, well, if pi equals 3.14, I can substitute that number in for pi in the formula. Okay, this marker is not working out. Let's get another one. That's showing up. Yep, it is good. Okay, A equals 289 times pi from over here, just rewriting it here. And now we substituted in 3.14 for pi. Now we multiply 289 times 3.14, and that'll give us 907.46. Okay, so just two things to emphasize here. Sometimes when you're calculating the area, they will only give you the radius. If they do, that's fine. We still use the formula A equals pi r squared. And then we substitute just the value 17 in for r, like we did here. And we worked it down to the area equals 289 times pi. If they give you both values, the radius and pi, then we can substitute in 3.14 for pi and then do our multiplication. And I'm going to say round to two numbers. This was the answer I got, so I didn't do any rounding. And the example, they rounded to 2. So just be careful to read the instructions so that you do what they are asking you to do. Okay, so that's the area of a circle with radius equals to 17. Okay, now we're going to have to find the area of a shaded region. So we're going to have a combination of a rectangle and a circle. But in this case, we're going to have to find the area of just half the circle. Okay, so what we have here is we have a rectangle. At the top of it, we have this circle, but we want to find the area of this shaded region. So instructions are to find the area of the shaded region given the following. We're given that the diameter of the circle okay, what's the diameter? If I have this circle and I have this as my center, the diameter is any point on the circle that goes through that center to another point on the circle. Another way to say it is that the diameter is twice the radius. And we can write it this way. The diameter is 2 times the radius. If I covered up half of it, that would be my radius. Because I have just the center of the circle going to some point on the circle. That's the radius. The diameter is a point on the circle, goes through the center, and goes to and touches a different point on the circle. Okay, so back over here, we're given that the diameter is 2 So in our graph up here, here's my circle, and here's my radius. Here's my circle. Here's my diameter. My diameter is 2. This part of the circle going through the center, touching another point on the circle. That's my diameter. And then I'm given that one side of the rectangle has a height that's equal to 11. So now how are we going to calculate this? Well, we have to calculate the entire area of this rectangle. Let's write that down. I'll draw a picture, make it easier. This picture right here represents this entire rectangle. And notice that that whole rectangle takes up half of the circle. So what we actually need is, what we need is this. There's my circle. There's my diameter. So this is the shaded part that we need. So this is why we're going to calculate the area of the rectangle minus half the area of the circle. So AR represents the area of a rectangle minus half the area of a circle. And again, why is it half? Well, only half of the circle is included in my picture. So when I calculate the area, I don't need the area of the whole circle. I just need the area of half, the half of the circle that is beneath the diameter. So for the area of a rectangle, well, that's just length times width. So area of rectangle equals, well, the length of it is 11. And the width of it is 2. Because the width of the rectangle in this particular figure is the same as the diameter of the circle. And then 11 times 2 equals 22. And that's the area of my rectangle. Let me erase something before we move to calculating the area of the circle. Well, the area of the circle formula is pi r squared. We know that pi equals to 3.14. And in this case, our radius is going to be 1. Where did I get the 1 from? Let's go back up here. If the diameter equals 2 times the radius, then I can take this formula, divide both sides by 2, and it's going to give me that the radius that the radius is going to equal 1/2 of the diameter. Okay, just to say this part again, my diameter equals twice my radius. So if I want to get radius by itself just in this equation, I can divide both sides by 2, and that leaves me just radius equals 1/2 times the diameter. In this case, I know that my diameter equals to 2. So now when I substitute 2 in for my diameter, I'll get a radius equal to 1. And I got the radius equals to 1 because 1/2 times 2, and even 2 written as a fraction, 2 over 1, 1/2 times 2 gives me 1. So 1 is my radius. I can substitute that into my formula up here. So 3.14 times 1 equals 3.14. But remember, we need just half of the circle. So half of my area of my circle equals 1/2 times 3.14. That's where the 3.14 came from. And I calculated my area of my circle. Now I need just half of this value, 3.14. So 1/2 times 3.14 will give me 1.57. So let's go back to this formula that I just circled. Area of the rectangle was 22. Minus 1/2 the area of the circle. Well, over here, we just calculated that to be 1/2 the area of the circle to be 1.57. And so now when I subtract 22 minus 1.57, that's going to give me okay, let's just do it the long way. It's going to give me 20.43. And this 20.43 is the area of the shaded region. So just a quick recap of what we did. We had to calculate the area of the rectangle, which at first was all of this, which included half of the circle. So we calculated the area of the rectangle by doing length times width, or 11 times 2 to get 22. And then we had to calculate the area of the circle. Pi equals r squared. And we found out that the radius equals 1/2 of my diameter. And I was told that my diameter was equal to 2. So I multiply 1/2 times 2 to get 1 as my radius. Substituted that here. And 3.14 times 1 gave me 3.14 as the area of the whole circle. But we only need the area of half the circle. So that's why we take half of 3.14, 1/2 times 3.14 to give us 1.7. And so to get the area of the shaded region, we took the area of the rectangle, which was 22, and then we subtracted 1/2 the area of the circle, which was 1.57, and that equals 20.43. And now I can erase from my diagram that half of the area of the circle. Hope you can see that well. And that leaves us just the area of that shaded region. Okay, and the last thing is circumference of a circle, which is given by the formula 2 times pi times r. And circumference is basically the distance around the whole circle. The circumference is given by the formula 2 times pi times r. So in this example, they tell us that the radius is 27. R equals 27. We can add that to our drawing. They tell us to use pi. That is, pi is equal to 3.14. And so now we write our formula, substitute our numbers in, and then multiply. The C is for circumference. 2 times pi times r. Two times 3.14 times 27. And when you multiply this all together, that gives you 169.56. And so that ends this lesson on circles. finding the area of a circle, circumference of a circle. If you need to go back and rewind, do so. Take your time working through your problems. And I will see you all next video. Okay, everybody. Y'all take care.